You're not exactly a priority, my mom texted as I sat alone at my contract dinner. 2 hours later, my cousin posted, family night out for the real success. It was Diego. He bought a speedboat. I paid the $1,900 bill, went home, and canceled the cabin payments I'd been covering. Then I left a note, let him handle it. 81 missed calls by morning. Nobody prepares you for the kind of silence that costs almost $2,000. My name is Gabriel. I'm 33 years old, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I work as an aircraft mechanic, not the kind that patches up prop planes in some dusty hangar, but the kind who lands major contracts with private jet companies. Or at least, I had just landed one. A big one. A game changer. The kind of win that made me feel like maybe, finally, my family would see me. To celebrate, I booked a table for 5 at Skyview Lounge. Rooftop, full city skyline, linen napkins, the whole thing. The reservation was for Friday at 7. I invited my sister Alana, our cousin Diego, my aunt Leticia, and my mom. Just the people who'd always said they were so proud of me. I thought they'd show up. I thought maybe they'd even say it to my face this time. I got there 10 minutes early, sat at the biggest circular booth on the terrace, ordered the good bottle of wine. I figured they were just running late. Alana was always late. By 7:30, I texted the group chat. No reply. At 8:15, the waiter came over for the 3rd time. Still waiting, he asked, polite but pitying. I laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. Yeah, I said, and waved for him to bring me the steak. Guess I'll go ahead and eat. The food was incredible. I couldn't taste a damn bite of it. By 9, the rooftop was filling up with couples and cliques, all leaning in close, laughing too loud, sharing desserts. I sat there like a man who'd been stood up, because I had, just not by a date. By blood. The bill came. $1,926. I had ordered appetizers, entrees, drinks, and dessert for 5 people. I didn't even bother arguing. Just slid my card into the folder. Then my phone buzzed. Group message. A photo. Aunt Leticia, Mom, Alana, and Diego, all grinning on some dock, with a speedboat in the background. The caption read, "Congratulations, Diego. First big boy toy. So proud of you." No one had even texted me a lie. No, sorry, can't make it. No, something came up. They just didn't show. And apparently, they were all busy throwing Diego a party for buying a used boat with a payment plan and a low-limit credit card. I sat back in that velvet booth, my heart pounding so hard it felt like someone had dropped a wrench in my chest. I stared at that photo until the screen dimmed. Diego, the same cousin who'd been bouncing between jobs for years. The one I covered for when he couldn't pay his rent. The one they were now calling accomplished. I walked out without dessert, without a smile, without a single text back. That night, the champagne didn't get popped. The suit stayed crisp, and the silence, for the first time, started to feel like an answer. The next morning, my phone was full of voicemails. I didn't check them right away, just saw the names. Mom, Alana, Diego. Not one missed call from Aunt Leticia, which somehow felt the most honest. I made coffee and sat in silence for a while, trying to decide if I even wanted to hear what they had to say. But curiosity won. It always does. The first voicemail was from my mother. "Gabe, honey, I don't know why you're acting like this. It was just one dinner. Diego's boat was a big deal for him. You could have come to that instead of sulking. Anyway, we missed you, I guess. Call me back." The second was Alana. Her voice was already defensive. "Seriously, Gabriel? You're gonna act like we murdered your dog because we missed one meal? You didn't even say it was that important." And posting that cryptic Instagram story, kinda passive-aggressive, don't you think? Grow up. And then Diego. Of course, Diego. "Yo, man, I heard you're upset. Look, you could have just told us straight up. It's not like anyone meant to hurt your feelings. But, like, bro, you bailed on the cabin payments this month? Not cool. I was gonna take the boat up there this weekend. Fix that." That was the last straw. What none of them seemed to remember, or maybe just never acknowledged, was that I had been paying for the upkeep on the family vacation cabin for the past 4 years. Property taxes, maintenance, repairs, even the utilities. All quietly covered by me, without a single thank you. It was just expected, like I was the family janitor, cleaning up after everyone with my paycheck. I stood up, walked over to my desk, and pulled out my laptop, opened my banking app, canceled the automatic payment for the cabin's account. Then I grabbed a Sharpie, drove the 45 minutes to the cabin, and left one note taped to the inside of the front door. Let him handle it now. No name, no explanation, just those 5 words in thick black ink on printer paper. I stood there for a minute, staring at that note. The cabin was quiet, cold inside, a little musty from lack of use. I remembered repainting the deck one summer by myself, scrubbing the mildew off the siding, replacing the water heater after Diego accidentally flooded the basement. No one helped, but they all showed up every summer like royalty, parking their cars crooked in the gravel, tracking sand onto the rugs, leaving behind beer bottles and excuses. I locked up, got back in my truck, and didn't look back, not once. That evening, I didn't answer a single message. I sat on my couch, beer in hand, TV on mute, not sad, not angry, just still, because for the first time, I realized what I had really been doing all these years, not just paying bills, but buying love that never came, buying peace that never lasted, buying space in a family that never had room for me. Well, Now they'd have to pay their own way. Let's see how much family means when the free ride ends. By the next morning, my phone was melting down. 32 missed calls, 17 voicemails, texts from everyone except Aunt Letitia. Again, at least she stayed consistent. Most of the messages had the same tone, not concern, not remorse, just panic. Alana, you seriously canceled the cabin account? Are you having some kind of breakdown? Mom, Gabriel, this is not how family handles conflict. We need to talk, please. Diego, yo, I can't even get in. The propane's off. Are you kidding me right now? There was a time a week ago, when messages like that would have made me feel sick with guilt. But now it just felt revealing. Like watching roaches scatter when the light flips on. They weren't reaching out because they missed me. They were reaching out because the support system they thought was permanent had suddenly disappeared. They were panicking, not grieving. I didn't respond to any of them, except one. A number I hadn't seen in a while popped up just before noon. Uncle Luis. He was my dad's youngest brother, the only one in the family who ever asked me how I was doing instead of what I could offer. I hadn't seen him in almost 2 years. He moved down to Florida, semi-retired, sold his HVAC business, and only came back up for funerals or when his arthritis flared in the cold. His voicemail was different. No scolding, no guilt. Hey, Gabe, it's Luis. I heard what happened. Look, I don't blame you. Honestly, I'm surprised you stuck it out this long. But your mom's a mess right now. If you can find it in your heart, just talk to her. That's all I'm asking. Talk to her. Don't let the others speak for you. That one sat with me. Luis had always been quiet at family gatherings, never the loudest voice in the room. But when he spoke, people listened. He wasn't calling to pressure me. He just wanted to keep the door from closing all the way. I didn't call back, but I did text him. Me, appreciate the message. I'll give her 30 days. After that, they're on their own. He wrote back within minutes. Luis, fair enough. That was it. No debate, no sermon, just understanding. I stared at the screen for a while, then turned off my phone and tossed it face down on the table. That 30-day window wasn't an offer. It was a countdown. One last grace period before I officially stopped caring. No more autopay. No more polite patience. No more pretending I was okay with being used. Let them figure it out. Let them call each other, argue, make new plans, scrape together what they never saw me contributing. Because I wasn't their crutch anymore. I was done holding up a family that never once looked down to see whose back they were standing on. She didn't knock. Of course she didn't. I was halfway through microwaving leftovers when my apartment door swung open like she owned the place. Gabriel, Alana snapped, her heels clacking across the hardwood as she marched in. We need to talk. I didn't even flinch. Just grabbed a fork and let the microwave keep humming. Make yourself at home, I said, stabbing at my food. Don't be a jerk, she fired back. What the hell is going on with you? Mom's crying every night, Diego's flipping out, and Letitia's blowing up my phone because she had a vacation planned in July, and now the cabin's off limits. I shut the microwave door a little harder than necessary and turned to face her. You really came all the way over here to whine about a canceled summer trip? She scoffed. Don't twist this. You're the one acting like the world betrayed you because we missed one dinner. One dinner, I repeated, walking past her to sit at the table. Alana, I sat there for 2 hours. Do you know what it's like to order appetizers for 5 and eat alone while strangers around you toast and laugh? I booked that place to celebrate the biggest contract of my career. And you all ghosted me to take selfies with Diego's dumbass speedboat. She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, you're still on about that? Gabe, he bought a boat. That's a big deal. No, it's not, I said calmly. Not compared to what I've done. Not compared to what I've given. Alana folded her arms. So what? You think you're better than Diego? No, I said, meeting her eyes. I know I've been better to this family than Diego ever has. Financially, emotionally, for years, and it never mattered. Her face tightened. You sound bitter. I'm not bitter, I said, standing now. I'm clear. I'm done paying everyone's bills like I'm some silent investor in a family that never gives dividends. I've been the safety net for so long, none of you know how to stand without me. She threw up her hands. So what? You're punishing us now? No, I said. I'm freeing myself. For a second, she didn't say anything, just stared like she was trying to recognize me through some fog. Like the idea of me saying no short-circuited her brain. You're serious, she said finally. You're really doing this? I nodded. I already did. She grabbed her purse off the counter and stormed toward the door, heels stabbing the floor like they had something to prove. You're going to regret this, she snapped over her shoulder. I don't think I will, I said. The door slammed behind her hard enough to rattle the cheap blinds. I sat back down with my microwave chicken and finally took a bite. It was cold, but I didn't get up. I'd lost my appetite for pretending a long time ago. It had been 3 days since Alana stormed out of my apartment. The voicemail count was up to 57. I hadn't listened to a single one. That Wednesday, I got a text from someone I hadn't talked to in over a year, Jordan Miller. We were tight back in trade school, used to fix up beaters together in his mom's driveway before I landed my first gig in aviation. He was the kind of friend who never asked for much but always noticed the stuff that mattered. Jordan, heard you finally cut him loose. About time, man. That cycle doesn't break unless someone's got the spine to swing the axe. Proud of you. I sat on the edge of my bed and reread it 5 times. Jordan didn't know the half of it. Or maybe he did. Maybe he could see through the same cracks I had plastered over for years. I replied with a simple, me, thanks. It wasn't easy, but I think I'm finally breathing again. A few hours later, my phone lit up with another message, this time from my mother. It was long. She never texted in paragraphs, only when she wanted to say something she didn't have the nerve to say out loud. Mom, Gabriel, I raised you better than this. I don't know what you're going through right now, but shutting everyone out and acting like a victim isn't going to fix anything. We love you. We've always loved you. You chose to help, remember? You did all that voluntarily. No one forced you. If you were feeling used, you should have said something. This whole cold shoulder act is childish. Family means forgiveness. Family means responsibility. I hope you come to your senses soon. We're waiting. That word, voluntarily, it hit harder than any insult they'd ever thrown. Like all those years of giving, the silent Venmos, the covered expenses, the emergency repairs, the nights I stayed up checking frozen pipes at the cabin while everyone else slept, were some kind of optional hobby. Like it wasn't a burden I carried alone, but some favor I could have walked away from at any time. If it was truly voluntary, why had I felt so trapped? I stared at that message, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Then I turned off the screen and set the phone face down. They still didn't get it. They thought the worst part of this was losing my money. But the real loss was theirs, the certainty that I would always come running. They'd mistaken my silence for consent, my stability for indifference, my loyalty for obligation. Not anymore. That night, I sat on the porch with a glass of whiskey and no messages playing in my ears. Just the hum of passing cars and a wind that didn't feel so heavy anymore. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just breathed, long and slow. It was the kind of peace that doesn't come from being understood, just from no longer needing to be. They could keep waiting. I wasn't coming back. Saturday morning, I woke up early, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. For the first time in years, there wasn't a family emergency waiting in my inbox. No, can you send something by Friday? Messages. No guilt-laced requests labeled as updates. Just quiet. I made coffee and sat down at my kitchen table with my laptop. I opened a blank spreadsheet and typed the title across the top. Every dollar I spent on them. It started slow, a few line items, mostly from memory. The down payment on the cabin. The electric bill during the winter months. New tires for Aunt Letitia's minivan. But once I opened my bank history, it turned into something else entirely. Tuition checks, mortgage help, grocery transfers, mail money, repair reimbursements, Diego's car loan that he never repaid. I kept scrolling, month after month, year after year. It felt like opening an old wound and pouring salt in it, but I couldn't stop. I had to see it. By the end, the number at the bottom was $83,497.72. I leaned back in my chair and just stared at it. That was the price of my loyalty. The cost of being the dependable one. The total for playing the role of the uncomplaining, ever-available Gabriel. I opened a new document and titled it, What I Owe Myself. This one didn't have numbers, not yet. It had things like a savings account with my name on it only, a vacation where I don't have to answer my phone, peace of mind, sleep that isn't interrupted by someone else's crisis, room to breathe. Halfway through writing, my phone buzzed. New video message from Diego. I debated letting it rot unopened, but some ugly curiosity got the better of me. It was one of those vertical phone recordings. Diego sitting in his cluttered apartment, hair a mess, eyes red. Yo, he said, fake casual. So, thanks for blowing everything up, man. Mom's a wreck. The cabin's probably gone, and now everyone's acting like it's my job to fix it, which is insane. You could have just talked to us instead of going nuclear. But I get it. You needed your little moment, or whatever. Hope it was worth it. I stared at the screen, expressionless. No apology, no ownership, just one long attempt to reset the dynamic, guilt first, blame second, a quick pat on the back so he could yank the leash again. I didn't reply. I just hit delete. Then I turned back to the document titled What I Owe Myself, added one more line to the list, never answering guilt with silence again. I saved the file, closed the laptop, and looked out the window. It was sunny, clear, still. Funny how peace doesn't come crashing in like thunder. It shows up as the absence of begging, and I was finally listening to it. Exactly 1 week after I canceled the payments, my mother showed up at my apartment. She didn't call first, didn't ask if I had time, just knocked, soft but steady, like she was there to borrow sugar. I opened the door and found her standing there with her purse clutched in both hands like it might fly away if she let go. Hi, sweetheart, she said, her voice thin. I stepped aside without a word. She walked in slowly, glancing around like she hadn't been here in years, even though she hadn't visited at all since I bought the place. I sat on the couch. She stayed standing. I didn't come to fight, she started. I thought we should talk. I said nothing. She took that as permission to continue. The cabin's in trouble, she said. Taxes are overdue. Utilities are past due. We got a letter yesterday about possible foreclosure if we don't catch up by next month. I waited. Let her talk. I know you're upset, she went on, her eyes flicking around the room like they were looking for an exit. And I know we hurt you by not showing up to that dinner, but it was just bad timing. Diego had just gotten the boat, and I raised a hand. Stop, I said. Please. She blinked, lips tightening. I don't need an explanation, I said, because I already figured it out. What's that supposed to mean? She asked, voice stiffening. It means, I said, leaning forward, you only came today because the payment stopped, not because you missed me. Not because you realized something was wrong, but because now, for the first time, you have to deal with the reality I've been shielding you from. Her mouth opened like she had something ready to fire, but she didn't speak. Just stood there, blinking fast. I paid for everything, Mom, I continued. For years. Quietly. I let Diego party and Alana play savior and you planned vacations while I made sure no one's water got shut off. And now that I stopped, you show up. She finally sat down, as if her legs couldn't carry her guilt any longer. I didn't realize, she began. That's the point, I cut in. You never asked where the money came from. You just assumed it would be there. She looked down at her lap. We needed help, Gabriel. Family helps family. I nodded. They do. But family doesn't treat help like a subscription service. Silence settled over the room like dust. When she finally looked up, her eyes were glassy, but there was no apology in them, just the weary expectation that I'd given like I always had. Will you help us catch up? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. No, I said, not angrily, not cruelly, just clearly. I'm not coming to the rescue anymore. She stared at me like she didn't know who I was. Then, slowly, she stood, adjusted her purse strap, walked to the door. She opened it, paused, and turned halfway. I didn't know it had gotten this bad. It didn't, I said, until you let it. She left without another word. The door clicked shut behind her, quiet, final, and clean. And for the first time, she had to walk away knowing I meant every word. It was just past 3 on a Tuesday when I saw him. I was in the middle of checking a hydraulic line on a Gulf Stream when a voice behind me said, "So this is what freedom looks like?" I turned, wiped my hands, and there he was, Diego, leaning against the hangar door in a pair of aviators and a half-hearted smirk. His smile didn't reach his eyes. It never did when things weren't going his way. I stepped away from the plane, slow and careful. You lost. Nope, he said. Just figured it was time we talked, face to face. I didn't say anything, just crossed my arms and waited. He sighed like this was exhausting for him. Look, man, I know things got messy. You're mad. We get it. But this whole lone wolf thing, it's getting old. I raised an eyebrow. Is that why you're here? To tell me how to feel? No, he said, hands up. I'm here because the cabin's gone. Bank took it yesterday. That hit harder than I expected. I didn't say a word. Just let him talk. And Mom's a wreck, he added. Alana's in therapy now, or whatever. The whole family's upside down. All because you decided to make a point. I let out a slow breath. No. All because nobody listened when I stopped pretending. He scoffed. You think you're better than us now? There it was. That old, familiar line. I stepped forward, keeping my voice low. No. I think I'm better without you. That stopped him. For a second, the mask slipped. The smirk faded. He looked at me like he didn't recognize the person standing in front of him. You've always thought you were so special, he muttered. Always acting like you're the only one who sacrificed anything. Tell me, I said. What have you sacrificed? He hesitated. Just long enough. Thought so, I added. I showed up to things, he snapped. I brought people together. I'm the one who made the family fun. You showed up with a six-pack and no gas money, I said. You brought nothing but noise and left bills behind. I covered for you. Every single time. He clenched his jaw. This isn't who you are. Maybe not, I said. But it's who I am now. We stood there for a beat. Just 2 grown men surrounded by jet engines in silence. Diego shook his head. You're not gonna budge, are you? Nope. He turned to go, paused at the door, and looked back. Hope the piece is worth it. I nodded. It is. And with that, he walked out, shoulders tight, stepped slower than when he came in. I turned back to the plane, picked up my wrench, and got back to work. Because the sky still needed fixing, and I wasn't wasting another second trying to fix people who didn't want to be whole. The family group chat had been quiet for weeks. Every time I scrolled past it, I felt the same knot in my stomach, not from sadness, but from the muscle memory of obligation. That morning, I opened it one last time, just to look. The chat history was a graveyard of old requests, Venmo links, birthday plans I was expected to fund. Last minute, we forgot to get a gift, emergencies. I tapped the top of the screen, hit leave group. The confirmation popped up. Are you sure you want to leave this conversation? I tapped yes without hesitation. Just like that, I was out. Later that afternoon, I packed a small suitcase and checked into a quiet little Airbnb in Asheville for the weekend. A solo trip, no itinerary, no expectations, just me, a full tank of gas, and a playlist I hadn't updated in years. I walked the downtown streets, stopped into bookstores, tried a new kind of beer I couldn't pronounce. I didn't check my phone once, and not a single person asked me for anything. The silence wasn't loneliness. It was peace. When I got back to Charlotte, I drove past the cabin, boarded up now, weeds growing around the steps. A for sale sign staked in the gravel, slightly tilted like it was tired of standing. I didn't stop, just glanced once in the mirror and kept going. At home, I opened a new savings account, named it something dumb but satisfying, G's Life Fund. I set up a monthly transfer, the exact amount I used to send to the family cabin account. Felt like poetic justice. That money would go toward things that actually mattered now. Repairs on my place, a proper vacation, a new mattress, maybe, therapy, or hell, just savings. Just the joy of watching the numbers go up with no strings attached. That evening, I sat on my couch with a hot plate of food, no phone in reach, no one to interrupt. I put on music, something soft and familiar. I looked around my apartment and saw, for the first time, how much space there was when I wasn't constantly shrinking myself to make room for other people. The next morning, I made a list, not a to-do list, but a to-be list. Be still, be honest, be unavailable to chaos, be proud, even if no one claps, be free. I pinned it to the fridge. The doorbell didn't ring, no surprise visits, no crying voicemails, just a quiet apartment, a strong cup of coffee, and sunlight cutting across the floor like a promise. I didn't need to cut anyone off with a speech. I didn't need to burn bridges. All I had to do was stop showing up. And in doing that, in walking away with my head held high, I gave myself the thing no one in that family ever thought I deserved. Myself.